There are thousands of train stations around the world. Some are crowded, some are forgotten. But there is one station that doesn't appear on any official railway map. The people who have seen it never forget what happened there. This story was shared anonymously by a railway engineer named Ethan. He worked the night shift for nearly 10 years. He believed every strange sound had a logical explanation. Until one cold November night, when logic disappeared. It was 2:43 a.m. A thick fog covered the railway tracks. Ethan was finishing his inspection near an old station that had been abandoned for decades. Officially, no trains had stopped there since 1998. The platform was broken. The waiting room was empty. Even the station clock had stopped years ago. The only sound was the wind, moving through the rusted rails. As Ethan packed his tools, he heard something impossible. A train horn. Long, deep, and getting closer. He checked the railway schedule on his tablet. There were no trains scheduled until sunrise. He looked down the tracks. At first, he saw nothing. Then, two dim yellow lights slowly appeared through the fog. A black steam train rolled toward the abandoned station. It looked impossibly old. Its windows were cracked. The metal body was covered in rust. There was no company logo, no train number. Just a faded sign on the front that read, Line 13. The train slowed and stopped directly in front of Ethan. Its doors opened with a loud metallic hiss. No passengers got off. No conductor appeared. Only silence. Then, a calm voice echoed from inside the empty train. Final boarding. Ethan took one step back. Every instinct told him to leave. But curiosity won. He switched on his flashlight and stepped inside. The train doors closed behind Ethan with a loud metallic bang. He immediately turned around and pulled the handle. It wouldn't move. The train slowly began rolling forward. Outside, the abandoned station disappeared into the thick fog. Ethan rushed to the nearest window. There were no lights, no buildings, no stars, only endless darkness. The inside of the train looked untouched by time. Old wooden seats, flickering yellow lamps, dust floating in the air. It felt like stepping into another century. Then, he realized something strange. The train wasn't empty. People were sitting quietly in almost every seat. Men, women, children, all wearing clothes from different decades. Some looked like they were from the 1950s. Others wore uniforms from the 1970s. Not one of them spoke. Not one of them blinked. They simply stared straight ahead, as if waiting for something. Ethan walked slowly through the aisle. "Excuse me." No response. He stopped beside an elderly man reading an old newspaper. The newspaper's date made Ethan's heart race. November 18th, 1986. That couldn't be possible. The paper looked brand new. The old man slowly lowered it. Without looking at Ethan, he whispered, "You're on the wrong train." A cold chill ran down Ethan's spine. Before he could ask another question, the old man folded the newspaper and disappeared. Not walked away, not stood up. He simply vanished. The lights flickered. Once, twice, 3 times. The train entered a long tunnel. Everything became pitch black. For nearly 10 seconds, there was complete silence. Then Ethan heard whispering. Not one voice, hundreds, all speaking at once. He couldn't understand the words, but one sentence became louder than the others. "Don't look outside." Instinctively, Ethan turned toward the window. At first, he saw only darkness. Then, faces. Hundreds of pale faces pressed against the outside of the train. Their eyes were completely black. Their mouths hung open in silent screams. They were keeping pace with the moving train, even though it was traveling at full speed. Suddenly, every face smiled. At the exact same moment, Ethan stumbled backward. His flashlight slipped from his hand. When he looked up again, the faces were gone. The train slowly emerged from the tunnel. But something felt wrong. The passengers, who had been sitting silently just moments ago, were now all looking directly at him. Every single one of them. Without blinking, without moving. Just watching. One little girl stood up from her seat. She held an old train ticket in her hand. She walked toward Ethan, smiled gently, and whispered, "The conductor has been waiting for you." She pointed toward the last carriage. The door at the end of the train slowly opened by itself. Beyond it, only darkness waited. Ethan stood frozen. The little girl had disappeared. Only the old train ticket remained on the floor. His hands trembled as he picked it up. Printed across the top were the words, "Line 13. Below it, passenger number 143. Destination, not returning. A cold wave ran through his body. The door to the last carriage slowly creaked open. Something inside wanted him to enter. Every passenger remained perfectly still. None of them tried to stop him. None of them even blinked. Only their eyes followed him as he walked toward the back of the train. The last carriage looked different. The wooden walls were darker, the lamps barely worked. The air smelled like smoke and burned metal. At the far end stood a man in an old black conductor's uniform. His cap covered most of his face. He slowly clipped another ticket. Click. The sound echoed through the carriage. Without looking up, he spoke. "You're late." Ethan swallowed hard. I don't belong here." The conductor smiled, a slow, unnatural smile. "Everyone says that." The conductor finally looked up. Ethan's blood turned to ice. He had no eyes, only two empty black holes. Yet somehow, he was staring directly at him. The conductor held out an old passenger book. Inside were hundreds of names. Every single one had a date beside it. Some dates were from 1964, others from 1987. Then Ethan found his own name. Ethan Carter. Arrival, 2:43 a.m. Departure, blank. The conductor handed him an old fountain pen. Sign, and the journey begins. Ethan threw the book onto the floor. "I'll never sign it!" For the first time, the conductor's smile disappeared. The lights inside the carriage went out. Complete darkness. Then, the train's emergency lights flickered on. Every passenger was now standing in the aisle, slowly, silently, facing Ethan. Their heads tilted at the exact same angle. One by one, they whispered, "Stay, stay, stay." The whispers grew louder. The walls of the carriage began to shake. The train accelerated. Faster, faster, faster. Outside the windows, there were no tracks anymore. Only endless darkness stretching forever. Then Ethan noticed something terrifying. The train wasn't moving across the ground anymore. It was floating through the darkness. The conductor pointed toward the front window. "Look carefully." In the distance, another train was coming toward them, on the same track, at full speed. And Ethan realized the other train looked exactly the same. Only this time, every passenger inside it was staring directly at him. The second train raced toward Ethan's train. Closer, closer, closer. The collision was only seconds away. Ethan closed his eyes. He expected the impact, but it never came. Instead, both trains passed through each other without making a sound. As they crossed, Ethan looked through the window of the other train. Every passenger looked exactly like the people on his train, except one. A man was standing near the last door, terrified, desperately banging on the glass. It was Ethan. The other Ethans screamed silently, trying to warn him. Then the train disappeared into the darkness. The conductor sighed. "You've seen it now." Ethan's voice shook. "What was that?" The conductor slowly removed his cap. His face was pale, covered with old burn marks. His empty eyes stared into Ethan's soul. "We carry those who boarded the wrong train." He pointed outside. The darkness slowly disappeared. An old railway station appeared. The station sign read, "Last Stop." There were no buildings, no roads, only endless fog. The train doors opened. Hundreds of silent passengers stood up together. Without speaking, they walked off the train. One by one, they disappeared into the fog. The little girl stopped beside Ethan. She smiled sadly, then handed him another ticket. On the back, someone had written, "You still have time." She vanished. The conductor looked at Ethan. "You were never supposed to board. But now, the train remembers you." The lights inside the carriage began flashing violently. The walls shook. The train whistle screamed through the darkness. Suddenly, the emergency exit at the end of the carriage burst open. Cold wind rushed inside. The conductor shouted, "For once, run!" Ethan didn't hesitate. He jumped. He hit the ground hard. Everything went black. When Ethan opened his eyes, morning sunlight filled the sky. He was lying beside the abandoned railway station where his shift had begun. His radio crackled. "Ethan, where have you been? We've been searching for you all night." He looked at his watch. It still read 2:43 a.m. The glass was cracked. The hands had stopped forever. His supervisor insisted that Ethan had been missing for 9 hours. But Ethan remembered every second. A week later, railway workers searched the abandoned tracks. There was no sign of any train. No fresh tracks. No footprints. Nothing. One old retired engineer quietly told Ethan, "There used to be a train called Line 13. It disappeared in a tunnel in 1986. No survivors were ever found." Ethan felt his heart stop. 1986. The same date he'd seen on the newspaper. Months passed. Ethan resigned from the railway. He never worked another night shift. But sometimes, when thick fog covers the tracks, he hears a distant train horn, long, slow, coming closer. He never looks, because he still carries one thing: the old train ticket, passenger number 143. And every year, on November 18th, the blank space beside his name changes. One year, it simply read, "Next departure, soon." Some trains don't take you to another station. They take you somewhere you were never meant to return from.